In this video, we're going to explore different reasons why students fail. So failure can come from different aspects. For example, it can be in any subject, I mean biology, chemistry, university stuff, postgraduates, doctorate and stuff. So people fail for different reasons. So we're going to explore different reasons why this happens. Okay? And these are guides for students, parents, and educators. Alright. So failure already very come from lack of ability, and there's some common habits that brings about failure. So for example, for students, when you skip class, there's a possibility that you may not be able to get that information you need for the lesson. So there's some lecturers and some teachers that explain some key concepts during the classroom. So if you depend solely from your book, your materials, the teacher may set questions based on what they explain from the classroom that you may not be able to find your pamphlet, or you may not be able to find in your notebook. That's the reason why it's very important to attend class. So let's start. So for example, you want to start reading, you can start reading maybe just 1 week or 2 weeks to the exam. And just imagine trying to put a lot of things into your brain within a short period of time. This will actually affect a student to fail. So these are just kind of like an overview of what makes students to fail during an exam or any form of test the student tend to undergo. So we're going to go through 6 patterns behind most academic failure. So the first one is poor time management. So what do you do with your time when you get home? What do you do? Do you read? Are you able to manage your time very well? Are you able to schedule the time you prepare for playing games, chatting with your friends, and the time you use for reading? So different things that just make someone just get carried away. For example, you get home, instead of having a bed, eating your food, relaxing, you just start playing games with your friends. So when you play a game, the game is very addictive. You find you once you start playing the game, you find it difficult to stop. So you may just use the whole day to play the video game. So most of the time, have played the video game overnight before. I started from 6 p.m. and finished playing the game 6 a.m. 12 hours. You know, so the game is very addictive. Now, different things that can actually distract you. Parties, going to parties, you come back home, you find it difficult to manage your times and everything. So a lot of things can actually affect your timing when it comes to reading. Okay. So the next one here is procrastination. So procrastination is just like just postponing what you're supposed to do right now to a later time. For example, you can say, tomorrow I'm going to read tomorrow. I'm tired today, I want the rest. Or you can say, next tomorrow I'm going to read. You say next day, after, later. So this kind of procrastination can make you to keep pushing the time you need to read. So this affect your performance as a student. So it's very important to take notes. So we have what we call constant distraction. So there are a lot of things that distract someone. It could be music, and play music, you're in a noisy environment, or you hang out with friends that don't read. Okay, there are a lot of things. For example, if you want to read, you can say, right now let me just play a little bit of games, or let me just watch a movie. After the movie, I'm going to read. So after watching the movie, you may find it difficult to you say, I'm tired, I'm feeling dizzy. Let me just go to bed. You go to bed. The same routine for the next day. You want to read, you carry your phone, start calling your friends, and you can see that now you're giving more time to things that are irrelevant, and leaving those things that is very relevant to you at a side. Okay, you put it aside, and at the end of the day, you're keeping more time before you start preparing for your exam. Then you start struggling during the time of your exam. So distraction is part of it. And again, you have poor study habits. So people have different poor study habits. Okay, so I have a countdown of some of them here. So the first one is completing easiest assignment first, leaving the hard one behind. And most of the time, if you're reading your books, you focus on the part you understand and forget about the hardest part. And don't forget, there's some questions that will tell you number one question is compulsory. Why choose from the other ones? And the more question carry more mark, and then the more question is always very difficult. So when you leave the difficult one aside, when you come across them in the exam, you tend to fail. So that is just one thing you need to take into consideration. So studying around loud noise and distraction, studying in a cluttered environment, letting your thoughts wander, study when tired or hungry. When you're hungry, nothing's going to enter your brain. Trust me. So failing to reflect on the meaning of an assignment, you fail to reflect. Reflection is very important. Staying up late at night to study. When you stay up late, sometimes you get tired. You're not able to read very well. For me, I prefer reading early in the morning than reading at night. I hate reading at night. I like using night to chill, to relax. I like using during the morning to read. Then cramming. You have short period of time to prepare for exam. You want to cram everything into your brain so that when you get inside the exam hall, you want to pour everything into the exam. And people that cram, they don't talk too much. They don't talk too much before they go into the exam hall. Why? Because when they talk, they're going to forget everything they've crammed. So I have a friend that when my friend have crammed a lot of things, if I want to speak to my friend, you tell me wait after the exam, knows have this conversation because you don't want everything that you're stored in this brain to vanish. So that is just one very poor study habit. So financial stress, there are a lot of things that affects you. So as a student, you worry about your bills, worry about transportation, cost of living, food, and everything. You know, what am I going to eat for snacks tomorrow? I don't have money. I don't have money to fend for myself. My uniform is torn. I have to change my uniform. So a lot of things. This kind of factor can actually affect what we call concentration and prevent you from trying to put in more effort in study. So this is part of it. So the next one here, poor sleep and health. So when you sleep in a very short time, so we'll have a short term here and long term effects of poor sleep. So if we go through the short term effects, difficulty in concentration, decline in mood, you start feeling very tired and your mood is somehow impaired memory, you find it difficult to be able to retain whatever you read. Then you have what you call visible signs of fatigue, you become very tired. Then in terms of long term, poor work performance, cognitive decline, you're not able to store that information that is very important to you. Then you have what's called heightened risk of dementia. So these are just one of those things that affects poor sleep. So it's very good to sleep very well so you can be very active to read very well the next day. Okay. So the next one here. So I'm going to go about how to prevent what we call procrastination, poor time management. So I just have four key points here. So one of those things that normally affect you during procrastination. So the first thing it says is, well, leaving assignments until the last minute. So you want to do assignments very quick, and at the end of the day, you may just end up doing rubbish. So no weekly study schedule to follow. You don't have your plan for the week. Now, okay, this week, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to use Wednesday as my resting week. I'm going to as my resting day. I'll use it to chill so I can relax my brain. Then I start again Thursday. Under underestimating how long tasks really take and relying on all-night cramming before exams. You say, don't worry, before the exam, I'll use overnight to cram that exam. So don't forget that a question can come in a very different fashion. So, for example, if I use an analogy to ask a question, you cannot cram an analogy. It's not important. It's not possible. So it's very important for one to be able to read and understand than trying to cram before the exam. You may find it very difficult and disappointed. Okay, so one is signs you have to watch for to know that, okay, yeah, this thing I'm doing is trash. I'm not actually doing the right thing. So these are the first signs. So the first one, which is very, very bad, is what? Skipping class. You understand? When you skip the class, that is an element that, yes, you are ready to fail because one, because it means a lot of good information. Cramming the night before every test, that's a very bad habit. You're just telling yourself that what I'm doing right now is very poor. And if I keep doing this, it's going to affect me during the exam. And the next one is avoiding question when confused. You don't want to ask questions when you're confused. You don't want to find information on that question for you to get irregular insights. You just leave it like that without any stress. And the next one is falling behind quietly without asking for help. Time is going. You don't understand this part of the topic. You cannot meet your peers, your classmates, your colleagues to ask them that, hey, I don't understand what's happening. Can you explain these things to me? Then you'll be falling behind and piling up the workload. And at the end of the day, if that particular thing which you're finding difficult to do comes out during examination, what's going to happen? You just might just fail. Okay. So these are just my key points about the reasons why students tend to fail. You understand? So failure isn't falling behind once, it's staying quiet about it. You just stay quiet, you're struggling. That's why you see some student that will come and meet a better student and tell you student that, hey, I don't understand this thing. Can you explain these things for me, please? So once you shout out and you ask those questions, somebody will be there to help you. So my key takeaway is don't keep quiet. If you're falling behind, Ask your friends, how you guys coping? How you guys reading? Can you use this? Can you tell me the strategy you use to study? Then you can learn from there, or you can find a method that is suitable for you, that you know you can work with properly, so that you can improve your performance. All right. So I'm going to see you next time. And if I watch this video to this point, thank you. Please subscribe, share my videos. All right, so we can just share, so you can listen to my amazing content, which I post every week. All right. So I'm going to see you next time, and goodbye. Thank you.